Hey Insiders, Ginger McLean on the podcast today, the legendary head of spa for Walt Disney, Hard Rock Cafe, Ojai Valley, and many, many more. She's going to share some absolute gems on cross-training and building empathy with your teams, but my favorite part of this conversation is her story. Going from a single mother with a dream to selling her house, laying it all on the line to pursue a career as a spa director and nailing it. So excited to share it with you. Ginger, it is a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
John, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I was looking at the lineup, and I'll be honest with you, I was a little intimidated at first. I mean, wow, what an incredible couple of days you've had, right?
Well, I feel like I am topping it off with an incredibly wise industry voice. Let's be real. You were part of the opening team at what is now USA Today's #1 spa in America. Then you have gone on to managing high-touch single properties like Ojai Valley.
Yes.
And then you've also, at the corporate level, delivered scalable, amazing experiences for Disney, for Hard Rock. And so I feel like you just have such a fascinating perspective that I'm excited to share.
Oh, yes. Well, how much time do you have? Over 25 years and just truly blessed to be a part of this amazing industry. I've worked at some beautiful properties, the Grove Park Inn, which we mentioned, Hershey Entertainment, Ojai Valley. I mean, oh my gosh, how much more beautiful can you get?
You can't.
And Hard Rock, and then now with Renault Winery. So I drive to work and I say, I get paid to come to these beautiful places that many people spend their whole lives saving up money in hope for an opportunity to spend a few days or a week there. So
it's a privilege.
Yeah, it really is. It's a privilege to be a part of this industry. That's a perfect word to describe it. Thank you.
So how did you segue into spa?
So I studied recreational administration at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Go Hills. So I read an article in the newspaper one day when I was living in Asheville, North Carolina, that Elaine Salmons, who owned the Grove Park Inn, wanted to build a world-class spa, and they were going to be breaking ground, and it was going to be a 2-year construction project. My neighbor happened to be the vice president of HR at Grove Park Inn, and I walked over and I said, how do I get to be a part of this? This is what I've been waiting for. I was working in the banking industry and then in the school system. As a single mom, I had to take jobs that made sense for being able to prioritize being a mom first. And my son was getting a little bit older. It was time for me to start thinking about a career. And even though spas like we have today, they didn't really exist 45 years ago when I was going off to college. But I always had a fascination and passion for wellness and for how the body and the mind works in the spirit. And so it was a great segue from my studies in kinesiology and understanding massage and the importance of that and meditation early on in life. So I worked 2 years part-time in food and beverage because when they started to hire for the spa, I wanted to have my foot in the door.
You pre-entered the employment.
I pre-entered.
Wow.
So for 2 years, I was working in the school system. I took my little tuxedo to school on Fridays. I'd do a quick change after the students left. I'd drive across town and go to the Grove Park Inn and serve at conferences for the weekend and fell in love with it. I fell in love with hospitality. And then to be a part of that amazing opening at Grove Park Inn, it was, again, I had to sell my house to afford to start my career. I was $8 an hour front desk agent at Grove Park Inn. And 2 years later, after a few promotions and got into management, was able to buy another home. And then the rest is, I'm here. I've been a part of so many amazing brands, and one thing led to another. But
what a sense of purpose.
It all started at Grove Park Inn, and I'm forever indebted.
That is amazing. That takes a lot of vision to be looking 2 years out, trying to make sure you're first in line in the employment pool for the spa, and then as a single mom to leverage your house. That is such a strong sense of purpose.
Well, and that's what it was, truly. I knew there was something out there that I would be drawn to, right? But I wasn't really sure what my purpose was, right? I knew the things I was good at, and I knew the things that were important to me, the standards I wanted to live by, and a lifestyle that I wanted to live. And again, when I saw that article, it was, this is it. This is my purpose, and this is where I want to be. And when I started at the Grove Park Inn, my goal was to become a spa director at one of the top spas in the country within 10 years, and I did it in 8.
Wow.
It took a lot of sacrifices, a lot of focus, but, I stayed true to my purpose and to my passion.
What's one thing that you learned at Grove Park that you've carried forward into every spa you've been a part of?
Oh my gosh, everything. It's where it all started for me. I think that the team that we had there that I'm still connected with, there's something about opening a spa together. That team stays together forever. It's like starting a family together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's truly what it was. It was my first spa family and my forever spa family. And they say you never forget your first love.
Uh-huh.
And my entry into the spa industry, in starting with Grove Park, it was my first love in the
That's so
spa
cool.
industry. I had my first real professional facial there. I had my first real spa experience there. It launched my career. It set me up for success. When people ask me, what's your favorite spa? And I'm like, well, you know what? It has to be Grove Park Inn, because that's where it all began for me.
Wow. When did you segue from shaping experiences at the spa director level to overseeing a corporate portfolio?
Because I came with a different background. I didn't grow up in the spa industry.
Mhm.
I didn't come in as a massage therapist and esthetician.
Mhm.
So I knew that I needed to absorb everything I could. And every spare moment I had, I was reading articles. I was signing up for newsletters. I wanted to learn and grow as much as I could, because once you find that thing that really sparks your
Mhm.
curiosity and that you know is right for you, there's no holding back. So I had an opportunity. The spa director, Ellen McGinnis, who's here today, she was our spa director at Grove Park Inn. I always say she's the reason why I'm where I am in my career. She certainly challenged me in all the right ways to bring out the best in me, to be able to perform the best, and then to be able to carry that forward. I actually attended a media event in New York on her behalf, and I had several people that were attracted to what I was saying and how I was presenting information in the industry, and it prompted people to reach out to me for other job opportunities. And I found my way to Ojai Valley Inn and Spa and quickly was promoted to the director of revenue management. So less than a year in the spa, and I got promoted, and it was my first executive director position. They saw that I had a really good eye for teaching and training people on revenue management and how to grow and develop the guest experience in a way that really became profitable in ways that hadn't been done before.
I love that. So let's talk about some of the changes that you implemented there. What was the first big change that you implemented that helped shift that revenue trajectory of the spa?
Training was a big thing, and a lot of it was what I call cross-pollination. I was overseeing the reservation team for the entire property as the director of revenue management. And when I would look at guest feedback and I would look for patterns of things that we needed to improve on, because that's what you look for. So a lot of that was disconnect between reservations and maybe hotel front desk, maybe a disconnect in how we were describing spa or golf or tennis or all of the other activations across property. So for me, it was, I need my team to know everything that's going on across property, and I need to see the impact that they're making when the guest calls in versus when the guest steps onto property. So what I started was what I call cross empathy, or empathizing with the other teams across property. So my agents had to spend at least 4 hours a week in their shift at one of the other departments. They needed to see the guests coming in, hear what the guests were hearing from people that were working in the golf shop or people that were working at the front desk, people who were working in the spa, so that they could learn and know how to better describe those experiences. I wanted my reservation agents, who really were our revenue managers, to know how to describe the property and the experiences the guests were going to have. And the best way to do that was for them to have that as well.
I love that. That's been a theme in conversations this week, creating an awareness within the team of the whole versus the silo, so that they can feel like they're contributing to that larger organism.
Yes, and we all do. You know, everyone matters. But if you don't know how your role connects and plays into the bigger picture, sometimes you get lost in the importance of what you're doing. So that's something I try to remind everyone every day, is that you may think that this is the only thing you're doing, but the impact that you have on that guest experience is a much broader perspective. And I don't want you to lose sight of that.
Now, is there something that a smaller spa might be able to steal that doesn't have rooms on site, that they might be able to steal from what you did at Ojai?
Any operation you have, even if it's two people, it really comes down to communication and understanding what is your goal, what is your mission, what is the experience you want every guest to have when they walk in here, and create consistency around it. And if everyone's on that same page and they understand what that big picture concept is or the culture, or the experience you want the guests to have, then you're all playing that role to ensure that consistency over and over again. That's how you develop loyalty with any brand. Think of any amazing brand that's iconic. Think of Walt Disney, right? You can't go to any corner of the world and meet someone that's never heard of Disney. Well, it really all came out of passion and purpose, and then focusing on what he wanted his brand to be for everyone that stepped onto any of his properties. And it's still alive and well today. So that started from one idea. It was a doodle on a napkin on a train after he'd been fired from a job and told he wasn't creative enough. And he doodled an image of a mouse, which then became ultimately Mickey Mouse today. So it was out of his failure that sparked the fire in him to pursue his passions. And everybody starts with one idea, one concept, one person, and then they start drawing in like-minded people that are supporting that purpose and that passion, and it goes from there.
So what was that idea for you at Disney?
So for Disney, first of all, I never thought I would have a chance, and had a headhunter reach out to me and said, hey, Disney's looking to bring all of their spas internal. They had a third-party organization for 25 years. They were managing their spas and salons. And I thought, sure, I'll go down and interview with Disney, and that I need to tweak my resume because whoever you're interviewing with, you probably need to understand what are they looking for, what is the value, and how do you connect your personal values and purpose and strengths to their organization. So I added a job on my resume as COM of McLean Enterprises, and it started May 13, 1987. And the gentleman, it was a panel interview, and the gentleman that became my leader there said, tell me about the COM Enterprises. And I said, it's Chief Operating Mom of McLean Enterprises. I said, it's the hardest job I ever had, the best job I ever had, the job that really crafted the person that I am today and made me a better leader, a better manager, and the job I'm most proud of. And I think that landed me the job there. So, I really took that inspiration of being a mom because Disney's all about family. It brings kids and families there and not to lose sight of the guests that we're serving. So making sure that everything that we put out there for the guest was really focused on that family experience and understanding moms and dads need a little separation sometimes from the kids too, and creating that safe place where they didn't feel guilty about it and that they could go and spend a couple of hours or an hour just for themselves and know that their kids and the rest of their family was being taken care of and in a special place.
What was unique about supporting a guest experience for families versus other properties that you've been at where that may not have been the target guest?
I think it's just understanding that togetherness, regardless of what you're doing, is really important. Everyone needs to rally and support when you need time for yourself, quiet moments, and to appreciate and respect that. And I think that was a big part of it. And most of it was, and sometimes the parents were handing off the kids. It was like, no, my husband's out there with a stroller. I've got to get out of here. I've got to stop shopping, or I can't extend my massage. When they would do the handoff, and sometimes we were out in the front of the spa talking to the dad that was coming in or the mom that was coming in and doing the handoff.
Aww.
And understanding that hour or 2 hours of just having a little moment to themselves was really important.
I bet that was deeply fulfilling.
It was such a magical place. The word magic comes up because it really did feel like magic every day.
Wow. And so was that pre or post Hershey?
So that was after Hershey. And Hershey, that was another incredible opportunity. Again, headhunter calls me and says, hey, listen, there's an opportunity because Hershey Spa opened the same year, the same month the Grove Park Inn did in January 2001. So we were always watching Hershey, right? Because they were coming into this aspect of resort spas at the same time that we were. So I had heard about Hershey and I had watched them over the years. So when I had the call and I was in Naples, Florida at the time, my son was going to be entering college in the Northeast. And I thought, well, maybe the Northeast might be a good place. I'll be a little bit closer to him. It won't be quite as challenging to visit him and vice versa. And Brian O'Day, who was the general manager, he said, well, if I'm looking for a new spa director, instead of having them fly them to me, why don't I go to where all the spa directors are? So he went to iSpa that year, and it was in Florida, and I met him there. It took I think 6 months. But every week from the first moment I met him, he reached out to me and said, we're still interviewing. We're still going through the process. I wanted to let you know you're still in the running and make sure you were still interested. And I said, absolutely. And thank you for letting me know. So every week for several months, he called, and then he flew me up there and I got to meet the team. And I was just so very honored that they selected me. It was such a fun brand.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it was a fun brand to play with, but I feel like work can be play, right?
Oh,
And when you're in the
absolutely.
hospitality industry and the spa industry, and you're working with flavors and scents and textures and all the things that we bring to life in the spa industry, that was such a fun location to play with because of the chocolate and because of the food elements and because of the history as well.
Love that. I want to go back to something you said earlier. You were talking about consistency being the defining element of whether you're able to really build a brand. And I love that. I'm wondering, where does consistency usually break down?
I think it can break down when the team's not aligned with the big picture, right?
So same thing with OI.
Yes, absolutely. I think it really starts with number one, hire slow, right? You need to attract and find the right people that are already bringing a similar alignment when it comes to passion and when it comes to values. In the interview process, I say I always try to scare people off in the interview process because I'd rather find out it's not a good fit than to invest in them and for them to invest in us and come in and then find it's not a good fit. So I think it's really important. And that's where you start the consistencies in the interview process. What is the message that you're sending out there and how you're attracting talent? And then how are you communicating with them in the interview process to ensure it's going to be a good fit? So if you start off right with the right people and you understand the importance of your brand and what the value is and that you help them understand that from day one, that's where you start developing that consistency.
I love that. So to repackage that, you're trying to figure out why they won't work so that you can pressure test that to see if you're going to bring somebody in that isn't a culture fit.
Yeah, and I think it's trying to find the difference between someone who's just looking for a job and someone who truly wants to be a part of your culture, be a part of your team, and they want to have a career with you, right? So when there's a difference between, hey, I want a job, I need a job, and I want to build something with you, and I have something valuable to bring, and you have something valuable that I can gain from and that we can grow together.
I love that. Well, I want to be very cognizant. I know you've got a hard stop. Ginger, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking time. I very much appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. You know, I have a 25-year history with your company. I'm so excited for you that you grew up in the organization and that you're going to continue to carry the torch. And I look forward to working with you for years to come. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much.
Thank you.